The shocking truth about Semion Mogilevich, the world's #1 mafia ghost. The FBI has called businessman Semion Mogilevich the most powerful and dangerous crime boss in the world. Many European law enforcement agencies have nicknamed Mogilevich the boss of all bosses. According to the US financial website Market Realist, Mogilevich is ranked third in the top 10 richest mafia bosses of all time with a net worth of about $10 billion. Mogilevich mastered a skill that the world's most feared gangsters covet: collecting dirty money and turning it into clean money. Welcome to Detective TV channel. Semion Mogilevich, born on June 3, 1946, to a Jewish family in Kiev, Ukraine, former Soviet Union. He was nicknamed the intellectual boss because at the age of 22 he had earned a degree in economics from Ivan Franko National University in Lviv, Western Ukraine. Teachers predicted that this excellent student would develop a career in scientific research, but Mogilevich chose a different path, that is, doing business in the underground world. According to the French Center for Intelligence Research, CF2R, in the 1970s, Mogilevich joined the Lubertsky gang in Moscow, which specialized in defrauding thousands of Russian Jews who wanted to emigrate to Israel or the United States. Mogilevich promised to buy back their assets and sell them at market prices and return the money to them, but how much money all went into his pocket? He was twice sentenced to prison for this act. Later, Mogilevich joined a gang called Solntsevskaya organization in Moscow. With his financial acumen, he established the Arbat International Petroleum Import-Export Company registered on Alderney Island, a famous tax haven, and then used this front as a place to launder money for the gang. In the 1980s, Mogilevich established the Mogilevich Organization, which consisted of several companies. His gang soon became one of the largest transnational criminal organizations in Russia. He spent money to buy many businesses such as the Army Coupe factory in Hungary specializing in manufacturing anti-aircraft guns, the first private funeral company in Moscow, a bankrupt airline in Central Asia that transported heroin from the Golden Triangle. Mogilevich is considered one of the masters of money laundering in the world. He used his economic knowledge to transfer dirty money to invest in legitimate businesses. Most of the financial transactions went through London, UK. In 1994, Mogilevich's expanding empire faced many difficulties when banks around the world were wary of his illegal activities. That was why he sought out Inkombank in Moscow, one of the largest private banks in Russia and a bank that was easy on regulations. Mogilevich secretly negotiated with Vladimir Vinogradov, director of Inkombank, and won 23% of the shares, in return promising to inject capital and take the bank into the global arms market. Until 1998, when Inkombank ceased operations, he and his accomplices had laundered more than $10 billion through this bank. In general, Mogilevich's gang carried out most of the typical activities of organized crime such as drug trafficking, human trafficking, gun trafficking, nuclear material trafficking, art trafficking, gem trafficking, extortion, contract assassination, and financial fraud. His followers included about 300 young assassins with veterans who had fought in Afghanistan serving as trainers. They were notoriously cruel, ready to capture businessmen who refused to pay protection money, torture, mutilate, and then kill them. In parallel, Mogilevich opened tentacles in more than 20 countries and strengthened business relations with many other gangs such as Camorra in Naples, Italy, Cosa Nostra in New York, USA, and gangs in Colombia. In the early 1990s, Mogilevich went to live in Israel to establish a business bridge. In 1991, he married his Hungarian girlfriend Katalin Pap with 3 children and moved to Budapest, Hungary, to live. He then settled in Prague, Czech Republic, before returning to Moscow, but the gang's headquarters remained in Budapest. By this time, he had acquired Russian, Ukrainian, Israeli, and Hungarian citizenship. Since November 1994, Semion Mogilevich had been actively sought by law enforcement agencies in Russia, Ukraine, Israel, the United States, Canada, Belgium, Italy, and Germany. In 1995, the Russian Interior Ministry identified Mogilevich as the boss of more than 300 gang members operating in more than 30 countries in Europe, Asia, and North America. That same year, the Czech Republic banned Mogilevich from entering the country for 10 years. while Hungary declared him persona non grata and the United Kingdom also issued an entry ban. By the late 1990s, Mogilevich could no longer travel easily to Western countries. To avoid being pursued, he used at least 17 identities and 15 passports from different countries with all necessary documents such as Semion Mogilevich, Semion Palagnyuk, Semion Telesz, Semion Mogilevich, Semion Mogilevich, Szymon Maklewicz, Sergei Yurovich Schneider, Seva. According to the US website All That's Interesting, in 1997 the Canadian press exposed Mogilevich's role as a cover behind YBM Magnex International, YBMI. This Canadian company is headquartered in Newtown, Pennsylvania, and its main business is the production and distribution of industrial magnets. In the same year, the FBI's Pennsylvania division, in cooperation with the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, and the U.S. Customs Service, began an investigation into securities fraud involving YBMI. According to the FBI, Mogilevich falsified SEC documents to inflate YBMI's stock price by nearly 2,000%. During the investigation, the FBI discovered that Mogilevich was also a regular informant on rival gangs for the Hungarian police and the German Federal Intelligence Service, BND. With this trick, he not only showed a cooperative attitude but also made the investigative agencies of other countries hesitate. On May 13, 1998, dozens of FBI agents raided YBMI's headquarters. YBMI's shares, which had been valued at $1 billion on the Canadian Stock Exchange, became worthless overnight. On March 13, 2002, Mogilevich was indicted in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania for conspiring to defraud thousands of investors of more than $150 million. In February 2003, he and 3 accomplices were charged with multiple crimes. The indictment included a notice of seizure of Mogilevich's assets worth more than $50 million. However, Mogilevich's whereabouts are unknown. 5 years later, on the evening of January 23, 2008, Mogilevich and Vladimir Nekrasov, a Russian citizen of French descent, were arrested as they left the World Trade Center in Moscow. Nekrasov, the majority shareholder of the Arbat Press cosmetics chain, is suspected of tax fraud in Russia with the equivalent of $1.52 million. Mogilevich and Nekrasov were accompanied by many bodyguards, but they did not dare to act rashly because there were up to 50 police officers surrounding them. However, in July 2009, the Russian Interior Ministry said that the charges against Mogilevich were not particularly serious and released the super godfather later. However, there was a difficulty in that there was no extradition treaty between Russia and the United States, so Russia was not willing to hand over super godfather Mogilevich to the United States for trial. So in October 2009, the FBI issued a wanted notice with a reward of $100,000 for information leading to Mogilevich's arrest. In early April 2022, the FBI announced a $5 million reward for information leading to the arrest or prosecution of businessman Semion Mogilevich. He is wanted on multiple charges including wire fraud, securities fraud, wire fraud, mail fraud, and money laundering. Semion Mogilevich is not only a testament to the intelligence and ruthlessness of a criminal, but also a warning about the challenges society faces in the fight against transnational organized crime. Mogilevich's current life remains a mystery.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And as always, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next one.